Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Colonel Jason Kane. On behalf of our presiding officer, Major General John Maluda, welcome to today's ceremony. This morning, we pay special tribute to Colonel Oscar Delgado on the occasion of his retirement after 29 years of dedicated service to his country and the United States Air Force. We are honored to have very special guests with us today. Please welcome Colonel Delgado's wife, Pamela, as well as his sons, Garrett and Travis. We also welcome his father, Juan, and his partner, Margaret. Please also welcome Major General John Phillips, Director of Cyber Command, Control, Communications. Brigadier General Scott Rowe, Director of Plans and Programs, Headquarters, United States Air Forces in Europe, United States Air Forces Africa. Brigadier General Select Joy Pedro, Director of Cyber Operations and Warfighter Communications, Office of the Deputy Chief of Staff for Intelligence, Surveillance, Reconnaissance, and Cyber Effects Operations. Colonel Josh Rockhill, Commander, 688 Cyberwing. His Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Miranda Wong. We also welcome all senior officers, commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, co-workers, friends, and family. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the German and American national anthems, as well as the invocation by Chaplain Barclay.
Please join me as I pray with the sound of freedom in the background. Almighty God, we thank you for this new day of life and for the opportunities we each get to make positive impacts in this world. We're also grateful for those who serve and sacrifice on our behalf as well. God, today we gather to honor Colonel Oscar Delgado's 29 years of service to our nation. Thousands have been blessed over the decades by his thoughtful presence, his intentional care, his professional expertise, and exemplary leadership. We also give thanks for Pamela and their sons, as they have borne burdens of supporting and serving our nation as well. I pray that they will have your continued care and provision in their future paths. I also pray for each of us to have the wisdom and strength to stand firm in defense of truth and right, regardless of the obstacles that come our way. God, I close with the ever-present request that you would help us in our efforts to be peacemakers, that you would bless and protect all those who are engaged in the causes of liberty and justice. Oh Lord, hear this prayer. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Barclay. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, Major General John Malou.
Thanks much. Okay, welcome everybody. So, you know what? I'm not a big stage person, you know, not because of my height. I mean, I like to be on the ground because if I trip and fall, I don't have to fall too far. Okay, hey, thanks for coming. It means a lot to have somebody from, you know, up north or south or west. I forget where, south, close enough. And sir, thank you from the staff standpoint. Joy, I don't know. Thanks, whatever. You know, the other folks here. Chaplain, I mean, isn't it amazing? It is amazing. We had that noisy plane go by. I don't know what that plane said. Anyway, and then the chaplain starts talking, whoop, it's gone. So anyway, great work. You got the other folks, you got Weed, you got Rocky, coming all the way from San Antonio. Great to see it. Good, but we really don't care about you. Dylan from the guard. I mean, you know, guard here, I mean, you know, good to have you here. The guard, let me tell you, they're integral. When I was over here as the A6, the guard did fantastic stuff. And you brought Abel along with you. He just got here. I mean, I think he landed this morning, right? Or last night or something. You know, he'll be the next guy to step in your shoes, by the way, just so you know. So we'll have to watch and see how he does today. But more importantly, I want to focus a little bit more over on this side of the house. You know, obviously, Pamela. I mean, I could probably say a lot, okay, but I won't, because Oz is going to say something. Your son's here, you know, the glasses. Tell me again why you have glasses. Oh, styling, okay, and why? thank you, Margaret, for being here. I look back at all his career. Him and I have talked about this, that, and the other stuff. And I think you are really the reason he joined the United States Air Force. You were a senior NCO, the supply side of the house. Me and the supply people never really got along. Okay, when I was a female troop, I wanted a big bench stock, and you cats wouldn't let me have it. So I cheated, okay, and I put stuff aside, and I got it. That's what I'm talking about, baby. But anyway, what I'd really like to do is kind of set pace here. And if you could just maybe say a word or two. Oz says so many great things about you and what he learned from you and everything else down in Texas, sir.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody here for being here for Oscar. It means a lot to him. And I retired from the Air Force 20 years as an NCO. I retired from Austin back in '92. I remember when Oscar was going through high school, he said, "Dad, I think I'm going to follow your steps and be in the Air Force like you do." I said, "Oscar," he was still in there, like I said, in high school. I said, I pulled him aside and look in his face, and he was serious. I said, "No, Oscar, you don't want to be like me. You want to be better than me, So I talked him into going to college and said, "You need to get your degree and then go in as an officer." And the Air Force is good, but they need leaders, So I think you can do it. And sure enough, he took me into it, and he's always been a good guy. I'm telling you, I never had any problems with him growing up. I used to go TDY, and he'd be the man of the house, And I'd be relaxed, and I knew that things were good with him there, And so when his mother passed, and I had him right, thank the Lord that he was there for me, and it meant a lot. It means a lot to me. He's very respectable, and he gets along with everybody. I told him, just do your thing and be, with everybody, be front off and respect everybody, and they'll respect you. I guess that's what's been carrying him all these years. 29 years. That's a long time. And I'm so proud of him. Proud of him and proud of Pamela, because I always say that behind the saying that behind a good man, there's always a great lady. Yeah, I believe in that. I've been all these years I've known Pamela. They're everything they do together, they do it together, and that means a lot. There's a family, and I'm so proud of both of them. And Travis, his oldest son, and Garrett, I tell you what, all of us are very proud of what he accomplished. It's not easy, And I just want to say that the worst, last night we had a little bit of a luncheon gathering, and I'll tell you what, all the good things that you all said on his behalf, it really hit my heart, because I didn't know that he was that great. I mean, I was really, I knew he was good, but I didn't know, he almost made me cry, because like I said, he is a great person, but you guys, I don't know, I'm never gonna forget those things. I'm gonna keep them in my heart. And God is good, man, but I tell you what, I'm just proud of him, and I just say thank you all for, just making him what he is today. And I know he's gonna do good, I'm pretty sure he's not gonna stay retired. Knowing him, he probably be good for 2 or 3 months, and then he's got to do something different, And I just wish him the best, him and his family, and I'm just proud of him. Okay, so thank you all for being here for me.
Thank you so much. They say the apple won't fall too far from the tree, right? But anyway, so we need to sneak back just a little bit to Pamela, because she kind of set everything off. Okay, and I was trying to figure out. I asked Oz. I said, Oz, how did you? And he said, well, when I was at Scott Air Force Base, right, we'd go over and lift weights and do this, go over the machines and stuff. So he's over at the gym one day, and you know, he's doing his workout stuff, and he sees this gorgeous woman over there eyeballing him. You know, his words, not my words. He said, yeah. He said, yes, I think she really likes me. I think she really likes me. Because she kept looking, staring at him, right? Well, come to find out later on, it really wasn't that she was staring at him. She was staring at the weight machine that he was holding her up from finishing out her workout. But evidently, it still turned out all right, right? So again, getting back to Oz, graduated from UT as an electrical engineering degree, and then his first assignment was to Scott Air Force Base. And while at Scott, he did some stuff over there, did good stuff, and ran into somebody. I mean, a little skinny guy. I can say that because I'm not skinny. Deborah will remember you, right? Come on, Rick. Say something, Rick. He's not much of a golfer, either.
No, I'm not, sir. Thank you, General Maluda, for the opportunity to speak a few words, especially since I retired back in 2017 at the honor of Oscar during my retirement ceremony. Wonderful ceremony, except for he kept bringing up the Dallas Cowboys, and I don't know why, but everything in my career was related to the Cowboys somehow. So payback time, I don't know, because I'm a Steelers fan. America's true team, by the way. But I think I may have known Oscar for the longest, other than senior one. So we met back at Scott Air Force Base. Back then, surplus lieutenants, and they all threw us all into these staff positions for some reason. So, you know, we gelled pretty quickly and everything. And Oscar, he was always, from day one, you know, he's a professional leader, everything. I just remember that, you know, one time he's very convincing too, put forward some good arguments, and he taught me a lot of stuff. Like, he taught me about the perils of gambling. So, you know, they had river boats down there at St. Louis and stuff, so we'd go do that, and I'd lose my money and whatnot. But one time we had a party over in my apartment, and he said, you know, Ed, you should have a casino night, and I'll make this craps table and everything, and you know, the bank always, you know, house always wins, so you'll be the bank, you'll put up the money and whatever. So like 10, 15 minutes into this casino night, I lose my shirt, so I had to cut it off right there. But it taught me the perils of gambling, always a consummate leader, consummate wingman also, because later on, you know, you met Pamela, I met my wife Mary, and so we were. He got married first, and I was engaged. And so my bachelor party, you know, around. But the good wingman that took care of me. I thought I only had one drink the whole night, but somehow my cup never was empty. So he's always watching out for the troops, watching out for you, no matter whether you're here, the subordinates, or even the bureaucrats. So one last story from them. So at that time, I was a little more senior than him, so probably about a year or so ranked on him. So I pinned on captain first. But you know, he's like, I'm not going to school with you. So he's still Lieutenant Butterbar, not Butterbar, first lieutenant. But now you're not going to get a school from me. So you know, one morning I just showed up after I pinned on captain, and I just waited for him right at the front door there at after. I think it was after at the time. And sure enough, he comes rolling up in his Mercedes or whatever he had back then. And I just waited for him. I just stood there. The professional he is, he remembered me as Swoop. So I feel that I need to do fair to you, and I'll bring you one last final salute.
You all have that. The program does have every assignment. By the way, Oz sent me all of his OPRs, awards and decks, his surf, everything. And so I have that on this little electronic device here. Okay, just pay them that. And I can go through each assignment and talk about the wonderful things that he did. The #1 rated top lieutenant, top captain, top this, top that, etc. But you know, to me, at a retirement, the essence isn't about all the things you did, it's the people that you worked with and for, and that journey starting off. And that's why this may be a little bit different. You know, I know the Army, you know, the Army sometimes does things a little bit different, so I apologize up front, you know, for that. But so anyway, Scott Air Force Base, he left there, okay, and went to the Warrior Prep Center, right? That's over here. Having a great time. In fact, he had such a great time, I think his son was born over here, right? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. Okay, but then he, you know, that plane that came by earlier made all that noise. He wanted to fly it. So he applied, pilot training, got selected, sent him down to Texas, and because he was a Longhorn grad and dealt with burnt orange all the time, when it came time to the color vision test, he was a little blurry, and he couldn't pass the test. So then he goes, geez, what next? So I think the assignment team sent him north, right? Mountain Home. And he goes, Mountain Home? I'm from Texas. What am I doing at Mountain Home? But he was very fortunate out there. He had this very calm and unassuming commander out there named Babiak. Yeah. Could you have any good, not bad, any good things to say about, you know, Delgado?
Thanks, sir. No, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk, sir. I went out and met Delgado, and I was like, wow, this guy is going to be a senior leader in the United States Air Force. And I recognize that because he had the leadership, the technical expertise, but he also had that personality that's just so affectionate that, you know, just inspires everybody to just do a great job. And just a couple of things that he did. He did more technical innovations in the few years at Mountain Home Air Force Base, and I think a lot of people have done it in their whole entire career. As an example, we put Wi-Fi on our flight line before Wi-Fi was anything. And because I'm an old guy, it was a long time ago, right, Oz? We were out there. And it was the architecture used by the program office up at Hanscom for Wi-Fi that became an official program. Not only that, voice over IP. We had a building that CE never told us they were building, and we didn't have any cable to that. Where's the lieutenants in here? We used to have like paper wrapped cable, and it went all the way from the dial sensor office all the way to that telephone switch. And we didn't have any cable out there. It was going to be $6 million for cabling. Well, I said, why don't we do voice over IP? So we leveraged the AF Battle Lab, we leveraged ACC, and we were setting up voice over IP, training with it and everything like that. And then 9/11 happened, and we took it out to the desert. And we had voice over IP out in the desert because we only had TDC. We opened up LUD Air Base, and next thing you know, we had 5,000 people out there, 6 different MDFs. And the next thing you know, we're in trouble. And well, we didn't have MLPP, multi-line precedence prevention, but what Oz was able to do is get those phones out to all those different areas that was necessary to make that happen. I'll just tell you, there's more and more things that he's done, but he is just a super individual, as you all know, and we've talked about over the last couple of days. Pamela, thanks so much. You know, it's been great, you out there, and you're the driver. I agree with Dad. You know, behind every strong man or a strong woman or whatever, there is a strong person like you. And I look forward really seriously in the next short period of time to be calling you Dr. Delgado, you know. Anyway, so Oz is getting ready to go from Mountain Home Air Force Base. I called Joe Maluda, and I'll let you take it over from there, sir.
Okay, thanks, Jagger. So what Jagger failed to say, okay, was first and foremost, when Oz showed up in Mountain Home, he was getting out. He was going to go ahead and spend his obligatory time and get out of the United States Air Force. But it's leaders like Babiak that inspired him, okay, gave him a new pathway in the United States Air Force. And what Colonel Babiak didn't say is while he was there, they have something called the Billy Mitchell Award, which is what, Yacker? #1 comm officer in the United States Air Force, and that was awarded to then Captain Delgado. There's only one across the Air Force. That's a pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. So anyway, so he finishes up at Mountain Home. He's got to do something, and I'm looking for an exec. I'm the ACCA 6, and I'm looking around, and I really have a hard time with execs for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, Yacker calls me up, and he says, hey, you need to hire this guy, Delgado. I said, who's Delgado? He says, he's a Billy Mitchell Award winner. He's a great guy. I said, Yacker, I need to interview. No, he's deployed. I said, Yacker, Yeah, I said, he's a good guy. Yeah, says, good guy. I hired him. And he was right. Oz came in, he was my exec for 2 years. I never kept an exec for more than a year. Oz was there for 2 and did a phenomenal job. And I watched him learn, I watched him grow, I watched him from an operational standpoint, from an administrative standpoint, from taking care of not only me, but the 4-star at Air Combat Command. Did a wonderful job. He did such a great job. I think we sent you off to school. You went to school, okay? And typically when you get out of school, what happens? Command. And you went over to Japan, Masao. You know, we only send the greatest talented folks. I mean, there's some folks from the personnel team and stuff, but if you look back at some of the folks, Opie comes to point, other folks, great assignment over there. Did that, but then after Masao though, and I'd have to go look, but I think we shipped you back to the States, right? We sent you north, AFPC. Well, that's north of Masao, kind of north, you know, northeast. And that's probably where Oz hit his sweet spot, down at the personnel center. Working assignments, taking care of airmen, and taking some of those skills that he learned from Colonel Babiak and perhaps 1 or 2 from me, and started working the assignment system, making sure people were ready to go out and do their jobs, and taking Oscar Delgados, who may have been disillusioned because of an assignment here or something not working out there, and putting them in the right place at the right time, taking care of the United States Air Force's mission. And he excelled at it. I think he excelled so much, I think they shipped you again north this time, right? Yeah, to the Pentagon. And I think you still did a little bit more of that, right? Probably the premier senior officer manager in the career field. I know blanking ship, I know CL is here, and you know some other folks that think that might have been them, but really it was Delgado. He set the standard. But you know, no good deed goes undone, and while you were still in DCO, they shipped you over to Joint Staff. You know, I never served on the Joint Staff, but I did serve in DC 4 times, and I hate DC. It sucks. Oh, it does. I mean, you're there, you know, you go ahead and you drive in the morning, or, you know, you bag what yeah, it's terrible, okay? But it's the 5-sided building, you know, it has to be done, and Oz did a phenomenal job. In fact, he did so good, you know, and because he'd been in DC, I think they sent you over to National Defense University. Did that, I guess Pamela, he did all right? I mean, you know, had fun stuff, you know. And then, but you know, now it's time, okay, let's just finish that. And you went off to command in Texas. You know, I don't know what he did. I don't know what he did there. I think he did okay, right? I mean, he did all right. You're gonna talk, I mean, you know, later you can kind of chat about it, but you know, if you go back and look at his performance report, they really say good things about him down there. And then though, because he did such a great job, you know, and because he loves Washington, DC, I think they sent you back again to the Joint Staff. Yeah. So he's doing great things there, and you know, he's approaching, you know, he's got about 20-ish, you know, some years in, and I think you're looking at maybe moving back to home and staying there and not doing this thing anymore and going out and making a ton of money, okay, doing something. And then we had an opening over here at USAFE to be the A6. And we needed somebody with operational background, somebody with drive, somebody with vision, somebody who knew how to take care of airmen. And the folks got together, we talked to him and stuff, and said, we'd really like you to consider not retiring and coming over and be the USAFE AFAFRICA A6. And you know what Col Delgado said? 100%. There's not another job that I would take other than that one because of the operational mission and the ability to take care of airmen. That's the guy that we're recognizing today, retiring with almost 30 years in the United States Air Force. That's the guy, as a family man. Even though he was misguided in what Pamela thought when he was on the weight machine, okay, that's the guy that's been a great dad, been a great son. And to many of you in this room, Batman, Arbob, Yacker, you know, you know, Rocky, the rest, Goodman, he's also been a good friend. You know, a brother in arms, a good wingman. And I'm glad to call him a friend, and I'm very honored that you would allow me to come over here and officiate your retirement ceremony if you had anybody. So in a moment or two, we're gonna go and slap a medal on him. They're gonna say great things about what he's accomplished over here in USAFE, but more importantly, what Oz will tell you, he didn't accomplish those things. The men and women of the 6th, the men and women of the 435th, the men and women of all of the squadrons and groups, etc., across the theater, the partnership with UCOM. That's how it happened. He just happened to be there helping orchestrate some of that. And I thought it would be appropriate, perhaps, since we have the UCOM J6 here, I thought, sir, you might say something nice. I know the Army sometimes get a little rough, okay? But if you could say something about Colonel Delgado, sir.
Thank you, sir. So 50 hours ago, Monday morning, I had never attended an Air Force retirement. And now, 50 hours later, this is my second one. You guys are dropping like flies. But honestly, I would say, knowing Oz, he would say it's time. It's time to let the people beneath him blossom and grow. Blossom and grow, kind of like sugar cane in a hot Louisiana day. Let them grow. But so Oz, really appreciate, I said things about you last night, that when I was coming here, people said, oh, you've got a great A6, you won't have to worry about Ramstein. And we would have a monthly VTC. And honestly, I did not know, I should have asked, that he was gonna retire. 4 months ago, we're having conversations, and he is engaged to the degree that he is here for the long haul. And that shows the true testament of a leader. Many go into what's going to be their final assignment and kind of coast, kind of like me. But not him. He's setting all the right things up because that's just how you're wired. And it was an absolute honor that you invited me down here. Truly appreciate it. One thing I will notice on all those calls and all the SCSs we went to, he never had a notebook in front of him. Not once. And you would tell him things, hey, need you safely to do this. Got it. And 2 days later, reports back. I'm like, how did he remember all that? So hopefully you've got some notes up there because you don't want to forget certain things today. And I know you will. And so truly a privilege and an honor for a young kid, age 5th and 6th grade, grew up on Selfridge Air Base in Michigan. My first interaction, quite frankly, with the Air Force. And again, I always give a little bit of history. Selfridge, Lieutenant Selfridge, Army Signal Corps Lieutenant, was the first fatality in a plane crash ever. And that's when I think the Army Signal Corps said, that's too much paperwork. We need to turn this into the Army Air Corps, which then became the Air Force. So, and still to this day, I think because now we can't be colorblind and be in the Army Signal Corps. So we got one thing up on you, but thank you for sharing him with us. It's been truly indeed an honor. And hopefully we'll see you in the DC area, which is where you're retiring to, if I remember correctly. Or are you going back to Texas? Virginia. I thought you said Virginia. So again, I didn't write that down, so I just proved that I'm almost as good as you. But thank you for having us.
So now, if we can I'm gonna head back up to the stage, and if we can kind of continue this on.
Well, I got Master Sergeant Longhorn over there, though he's a little worried about me, but it's okay, it's okay. They had a dress rehearsal yesterday after the golf tournament. They told me I had to come over and practice, and I kind of laughed. I said, I may have done 1 or 2 of these in the past, but so if I mess up, it's not the Master Sergeant's fault, it's my fault because I didn't come over to the dress rehearsals. Okay, but I also knew that I had a great wingman over here that would take great care of me, and the only counsel I gave him was, I'm in charge, but you may have to prompt me a little bit from time to time, okay? All right, sugar cane, back at you, baby. And how about giving up for Colonel Oscar Delgado?
Thank you, General Maluda. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the medal presentation. Read the order. Attention to orders. Colonel Oscar Delgado distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Director of Communications and Chief Information Officer, Headquarters United States Air Forces in Europe, Air Forces AFAFRICA, Ramstein Air Base, Germany, from 12 July 2021 to 31 August 2024. During this period, the exemplary ability, diligence, and devotion to duty of Colonel Delgado were instrumental factors in the resolution of many complex problems of major importance to the United States Air Force. Under his leadership, he drove a $40 million expansion of the air component battle network to include 3 new data centers and automatic failover networking to provide a survivable, free enclave hybrid cloud capability in Europe. Furthermore, he led $150 million in communications infrastructure projects in NATO's eastern flank, bolstering allied defenses and aiding the delivery of $37 billion of humanitarian and military aid to Ukraine. Finally, Colonel Delgado expedited communications supporting 35,000 Afghan evacuees at Ramstein Air Base for Operation Allies Welcome. His team delivered critical information sharing capabilities to the Department of State and other agencies, accelerating the largest airlift in Air Force history. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Delgado culminate a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force.
I failed to mention it, but if you turn around, to show you how much the folks at USAFE AFAFRICA and Air Mobility Command love Delgado, they put a D on that jet out there, just placed it right here, so Colonel Delgado would have that.
Please remain standing for the retirement portion of today's ceremony.
Publish yours.
Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force, Washington, District of Columbia, Special Order Number AL-TAC 000013. By order of the Secretary of the Air Force, Colonel Oscar Delgado retired from active duty, effective 31 August 2024, after 29 years, 6 months, and 10 days of faithful and honorable duty. Major General Maluda will now present Colonel Delgado with his certificate of retirement. Certificate of retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these presents greetings. This is to certify that Colonel Oscar Delgado, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of September 2024. Signed, General David W. Alvin, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force. Major General Maluda will now present the Presidential Certificate of Appreciation to Colonel Delgado. Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America. Colonel Oscar Delgado, I extend my personal gratitude and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation to you for your patriotic service to our country. Your bravery and dedication in our armed forces helped protect your fellow Americans during a critical moment in our history and contributed to a world of greater security and growing prosperity. Your devotion to duty, honor, and country, in keeping with the long traditions of the finest military in the world, embodied the American ideal of selfless service. Our nation owes you an incredible debt. Your commitment and the example you set will inspire future generations to serve with pride and to keep our country secure. You represent the best of our nation, and I join our fellow Americans in saluting your honorable service. I wish you happiness and success in your next chapter. Signed, President Joseph R. Biden, Commander-in-Chief. Colonel Maluda will now present the certificate of appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force to Colonel Delgado. Certificate of appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. I am proud to join your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. The achievements and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of our great service. Your retirement is well deserved, but your selfless contributions will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes and a new one begins, I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Signed, David A. Flossie, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. So you can have a seat. It is a tradition that every retiree receives a special retirement pin as a memento of their active duty service. Colonel Delgado has requested that his wife present this pin. Pamela, could you please come forward? We are an Air Force family. It has been said that next to every successful military member, there is a supportive and loving family. We now take time to recognize Pamela Delgado's contributions.
So what he was going to read is a bunch of words. But again, having spent 34 years in the Air Force, as many of you have spent a lot of time in the Air Force, having been married 50 years for me, and many of you being married for many years, dragging your not only your significant other around, but your children around, et cetera, et cetera. You know, at the end of the day, it's our spouse, it's our children that have to bear the brunt of the sacrifice. We're off doing cool things and they're back home. Like right now, my wife's back home feeding the camel, kangaroo, and all the other critters we got. So she's excited about me coming home. Pamela has stood behind Oz the entire way, whether it was at Scott, whether it was here in Europe, whether it was in Washington, D.C., it didn't matter. She was a stalwart that took care of the family, plus worked as well and took care of the kids. So words on a piece of paper cannot amplify all that you've done, Pamela. But we're going to give you some.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Air Force Certificate of Appreciation will now be presented to Ms. Pamela Delgado, and it reads, in grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Mrs. Pamela D. Delgado for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Signed, General David W. Alvin, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force. Thank you, Pamela. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the ceremonial folding of the flag. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor, white signifies purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Space Force satellites that circle our globe, and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom, at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict, on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we, as Americans, enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I present to you Colonel Oscar Delgado, United States Air Force, retired.
Thank you all for that. I appreciate it. Can you hear me okay in the back? Okay, thanks. First, I want to thank some of the folks that are here. General Phillips, thanks for those comments, right? Within my notes at this time. It's the one time I don't want to forget those certain things on here. General Rose, yeah, thank you for being here. I hate that I missed your social. I was so looking forward to the brisket. Being a Texas guy, I love me some brisket. So sorry I missed that. So thank you for showing up. General Select Kazor, Joy, thank you for being here. We've known each other for a while. Thanks for the time and to be here. I really do appreciate it. Well, Paul, thank you for being here. Chaplain, thanks for the invitation. Really appreciate it. You've been coming to our events when we have an offsite director's call and blessed us, blessed the members of the department. Thank you for caring for us and staff as well. Colonel Rockwell, Bill, excuse me. Thank you for being here. Chief Wong as well. Great team you guys have out here. It's great to know that we have partners like y'all that care for people there, right? Operationally, in an enterprise, it's always difficult to do things, but you guys understand the issues we face on here, right? Hopefully, Colonel Kane will be patient with y'all on her, because he can be a little impatient sometimes. The one thing I forgot to say, General Rowe, right? I want you to, and this is for all the deputy directors and directors who are here, right? You heard Jason's new call sign, right? Please spread that throughout the command as much as possible, but he should be known as Sugar King from now on there. It is a thing. On there. I want to also thank some of the folks that put this together. This doesn't happen, whether it was this or the dinner last night. Tremendous job by the team. Lieutenant Joyce, Sergeant Longhorn, Amanda, you guys have been phenomenal in everything you've done to get this ready, not just for this, but also being in the front office and being an excellent team. So thank you so much. I think he's behind the scenes somewhere, but Captain Dylan Shea has been within the POC for that. At the dinner last night, we had Captain Hedge from the Space Force trying to recruit him for the Space Force on there. Captain Hedge, or Colonel Hedge, I talked to Security Forces. Your base access is restricted after the ceremony, so make sure you get out here before you talk to any more Air Force guys. All right, on there. Captain Warner, thank you for being the offer up here. Former exec, by far the best exec I ever had in the Air Force, and I had a few. He's now in the 4 stars CAG, excellent officer. Make sure you remember him because he's going to go places. Jason, thank you for this, right? For this tonight, the last year and a half as my deputy, you've been incredible on here. I had a discussion with Colonel DiPolito when we were doing the transition. He was retiring and I was taking over, and we had like a week of overlap. And at that time, I was telling him, this has the feel of almost a command type position, right? And I'll tell you, doing this for 3 years, it's absolutely felt like a command position. We have 2 theaters, responsibility for comms in both of those theaters, where anything can go wrong, right? And a lot of issues happen all the time. So always answering calls in the middle of the night, things are happening. You're going to do phenomenal, but just, as I think I hopefully posture you half as well as what Colonel DiPolito did for me, you'll succeed and you're the right guy at the right time for this. So thanks for that, Jason. Sir, I'm going to say a little bit of words a little bit later about you, but there's no one else that I would have wanted to do this for you.
Um, you're absolutely the best person that could have done this for me. I'm so appreciative of you to have done this. The one thing that General Maluda said is, as far as advice, as far as my speech, because he really said, say whatever you want. I probably need to make sure I thank the family first before I get into all the other comments and kind of thanking everyone. He indicated he's done tons of these, and you know, in the moment, the emotions, he's seen some great folks that at the end of the day, they tend to kind of forget the family, right, and get in trouble afterwards. So I don't want to start retirement in a bad foot with the family. So I'm going to start with the family right now. Dad, that was awesome. On there, more than I expected. And all those comments you said hit my heart. Right? My dad was in the Air Force. I looked up to him. He was my first mentor, and he's absolutely right. He's the reason why I joined the Air Force. And just like he said, the one thing he told me is get my education, go to college, which I did. I've never regretted joining the Air Force. It's been a lifelong dream and something I always wanted to do. So, Dad, thank you so much for that. We had a discussion yesterday about how it's been 8 years since my mom passed, which is, I mean, it's like a blink in the eye. It seems like it was just a couple of years ago on here. She was the rock of our family, and really kind of pushed and held the family together, right? So really miss her. But Margaret, thanks for coming into our lives. You've been incredible, especially for my dad. You've welcomed my poor family as your family. So thank you for being there for us. To the boys, thank you for the love, support, and the patience. You guys have gone through tremendous moves, losing friends, new schools, new things, right? I'm a former military brat myself, so I know what you've gone through and the difficulty it is with kind of starting over constantly. Really appreciate you guys and the men you have become. Thank you for all you've done on this. And then to my beautiful wife, Pamela. I don't know if I remember the gym scene like it was described. I thought I was looking pretty good in the weight machines, and she noticed me, but it's up for debate, and my memory is not as great as it used to be. So, Pamela, thank you for the support. Next week will be 28 years for us, and she's been here through the entire journey that we've been together for this, right? It's difficult for a spouse, especially a working spouse, because every time you go to a new assignment, it's almost like starting over. She's gone from teaching, initially civil service, to being an assistant principal, back to civil service. Now she's going to hopefully be working for the Secret Service when we get back to DC. But thank you, honey. You've been incredible. A small token of my appreciation, not big bouquet of flowers, because I know we're getting on the plane in a couple of days. Let's stay there. I'll try to go as quick as possible because I do want to thank some folks, right? I'm not going to talk about work so much, but really thanking the people. So I'll go as quick as possible because I know I see Yager up here squirming like he has to go to the restroom. So I'll try to go as quick. Ed Riggleman, thanks for those words. You are the oldest friend I have in the Air Force. You came down to our wedding so many years ago, introduced us to Terry. Thank you both for being in our lives and being great friends. I wish I could join you in New Braunfels. I think that's where I would love to retire, but my bride has other plans for us. So we'll be in Virginia for the foreseeable future. So thank you for that. The boss, General Maluda, mentioned the whole transition from, we got here to Germany. At the time at Scott, I had got my private pilot's license and applied for to go to pilot training, got selected, and they decided to send us to Laughlin Air Force Base, which we proceeded to. For those that have been to Laughlin, right, especially the commute from San Antonio to Laughlin, it's pretty desolate, right? So went down there. Before you start pilot training, one of the things they want you to do is go to Brooks Air Force Base to do an extensive medical training or workup. And during that time, while I'm slightly colorblind, I had always passed the older Air Force test. I had, obviously, because I had a pilot's license, I could see colors, but it came to the smaller variants that I got disqualified, right? And I'll tell you, I went from an extreme high where you work so hard to reach your goals to an extreme low for getting disqualified. I think it was the general that said this. At that point, I was like, yeah, forget the Air Force. I was doubly. I was like, I figure I'll get an engineering degree. I talked to Pamela. I think I still owed an active duty service commitment. And so I was like, we'll see what the AFEC team has to say and where they send me. And then, we'll do the time and then we'll get out. So I'll call them up and, it's like, all right, did you check into the base? It's like, no, we haven't checked in yet. It's like, well, let's see what we can work. They called us back and they said Mountain Home Air Force Base, right? And I'm a young officer and I didn't know where the heck Mountain Home was, right? So I had to do a little research, look at maps, and I saw that it was in Idaho. And excuse the French, but I was like, what the fuck? I'm from Texas, and Idaho was never something somewhere where I wanted to go, right? So that kind of doubled me down on wanting to get out of the Air Force. But as the general talked about, there was this one guy there that came in shortly after I did a take command on there, and he can be a bit of an asshole to work for on there, but he's actually the kind of asshole I need, right? He drove me, he motivated me, put me in front of a lot of people, and actually showed me what I was capable of doing that I didn't even know. And if you look at my bio, the first two assignments that I had, first at the Air Force Comm Agency, which wasn't true Air Force, and then Warrior Prep Center, which really isn't true Air Force either. We're just doing exercises. Mountain Home was actually the first real taste I had to an operational Air Force. So with Major Babiak at the time and kind of seeing what the Air Force is really about, I tell you, my whole perspective changed completely. But I attribute that to you, Yacker. Every promotion that I've had since that moment, I've always thanked you and talked about you because you're the reason I stayed in the Air Force on there. Little did I know that Yacker knew General Maluda at that time and had talked to him about me coming up there. And he had told me that MAGCOM was the next thing for me. So going to ACC was, he said it was a logical thing. And so my first year was in the Cyber Division. General Maluda hadn't come up yet, working for General Lord. And I had gone up and sat in for General Lord as an exec a couple of times, but my boss at the time, Gary Kemp, had said, hey, you want to do okay, but you want to fuck up a little bit. It's his exact words. So they don't look at you to kind of be up there permanently. And so I thought I was doing a good job about that. And all of a sudden, Gary Kemp, which if anyone knows Gary Kemp, right? He's like probably a 6'2", big, stocky, burly, muscular guy on air. He calls me like on a Thursday or Wednesday and say, hey, Oz, get in my office right now. And he starts saying, what the heck did you do? I was like, what are you talking about, sir? It's like General Maluda's coming in on Monday and they want you over there first thing to be his new exec. It's like, sir, I don't even know who that is. And sure enough, that would become a 2-year journey on there. I had the option to leave there after a year. They were looking at, you know, he didn't want to put me back on staff, but he wanted, there was an opening coming for the DCOM exec at the time. And I will tell you that first year, I was soaking everything in that General Maluda had. You know, while my dad was my first mentor, kind of developing me, Yacker was my second mentor, where he kind of reinvigorated me into the Air Force. General Maluda was my third and final mentor that really shaped me as a leader, really told me what was important in life, really talked about how I needed to have priorities in my life, and how you can have fun, but do the operations at the same time. And really kind of focused me on, as an officer, what that really means on there. And so, while I had done that first year, I wanted more of that. It was great. And oh, by the way, for those that know General Maluda, he golfs all the time, right? My golf game was phenomenal at the time. I was golfing all the time, so I kind of enjoyed that too on there. But we're doing work out there, right, sir? So I did that, right? And really enjoyed that. General Maluda would be helping me out for the next 3 assignments. First, going to school, you kind of got me to, well, you wanted me to go to the LL program. He called me up and said, hey, Oz, you scored pretty good on the DT. Why don't you do that? I was like, sir, I want no part of DC. Screw that place, right? Little would I know that I'd spend 8+ years of my life there later on. But at the time, I wanted to be one of those guys that would kind of avoid the DC stuff, right? So went to Air Command and Staff College, did a year of school. As I was beginning that, he asked me where I wanted to go to command. And that was what I said, you know, I had done a little research. I said, hey, sir, I'd love to go to Misawa. I'd done Germany. I want to go to the Pacific. He's like, all right, let me work that. I'll get back to you. And sure enough, I got selected to Misawa, which was a phenomenal base, right? A fighter mission, singularly focused, Northern Japan, great skiing if you're into that on there, but fantastic opportunity. I wanted to list a few of the officers that I have, and some of you that are in the comm business will know these folks, right? But tremendous officers that really made my job a lot easier. With me there was Roy Rockwell, fantastic officer who went trader and joined the Space Force. John Goodman, who's in the audience, was there. Alan Hedge, who's another trader of the Space Force. Eric Welcome, Chris Corbett, and Kelly Roxburgh Martinez. All those officers that I mentioned would end up becoming colonels in the U.S. Air Force. That's how strong of officers we had in Misawa. It was a tremendous team that really helped me shine during that time there. So I really appreciate those folks on there. The next phase, right, as I was ending Misawa, the boss called me again, and he's like, you know, he wanted to really know what I was, what my boss, the wing commander, had done as far as PRFs and all that stuff. I was still a major at the time. He indicated that there could be different options if I got promoted early. And so he asked PRF numbers and all that stuff. He's like, oh yeah, that'll work. I got it. And I was lucky to get selected early, which meant that I went to my next job, which was the team chief for AFPC as a Lieutenant Colonel Select on there. That was probably the best assignment I had in the Air Force, right? Not because we did operational mission stuff on there, but because of all the people I got to mentor, counsel, and help while I was there. That was a fantastic 2 years of my life. Again, I just want to name a few of the folks that were there that just made it rock solid for me. Dan Kent, who was my deputy, Taramani Inn, Josh Rockhill, and if you ever hear, for those that weren't there last night, ever hear a cognac story from him, it's all false news on it. Courtney Anderson, Vic Norris, and I would later bring in Alan Hedge, Ray Spoor, and Ciro de la Vega, who had worked for me as lieutenants at Mount Home on their fantastic team, huge camaraderie, and again, loved it because of the folks we helped out, all the officers that we got to take care of, an incredible tour there. And oh, by the way, I happen to be a commissioner of a fantasy football league, right? That's where that league started. We've been doing it for like 14 years now. There's like 18 of us, all colonels retired, and we've just built that camaraderie on there. The thing that I'm not sure about with the league is we got 2 Space Force guys in the league. And somehow these 2 Space Force guys have won 3 of the last 4 years of championships. So we got to fix that, guys. I don't know what's up with that. I got picked up to do 2 more years of personnel stuff. This time working the colonel's assignments at DC, right? I kind of came in and went to DC, even though that was where I was trying to avoid. That was a phenomenal assignment because it allowed me to, 1, continue to help officers, right? Now a little bit more senior. But what I noticed working with the young colonels is they didn't have a clue how that process worked for the colonels. It was brand new to them. I got to talk to great lieutenant colonels like George Kaiser, Brad Pyburn, all these folks that were up and comers, and try to mentor them and try to let them understand what to expect, because we don't do a great job while we live in the APC side to let them know what that became. Fantastic opportunity, really, really good assignment. While I was getting ready to leave that, I was working for General Basler at the time, and he had asked me, hey, who's the guy that needs to replace you? Who's the next Oz for this? And the one name that came to mind right away was this one young guy. I think when I met him was at a commander's conference here at USAFE. He was a commander at Alconbury, and we had sat down and had a couple beverages at a social. And you know, obviously I was an APC guy, so most guys would be talking about their assignment and what they want to do next. This guy was actually talking about how he can better the career field, all these bright ideas, things that he wanted to take care of, right? And so when General Basler asked me that, Carlos Alford was the guy that I mentioned. Thank you for being here, brother. You've done so much for the career field. I appreciate you coming out for the ceremony. Thank you so much. Boss said the joint staff, I did that a couple times. For those that have been on a joint staff, let me tell you this, it'll suck the life out of you, right? I did my time in penance there. I hope I never work in the joint staff as any capacity again. Very good people there, but a lot of hard work there as well. So did a couple of years there, did school, and then got selected to be a group commander out of the 24th Air Force at the time, working at the 26th Pod. And really, like everywhere, and I think General Maluta said it, I didn't accomplish much. It was my team that did great stuff. And I had some great commanders and a great command chief there. Mark Snoddy was one of my commanders who's here today. Would have been a 06 if he had stayed in, but personal reasons decided to get out. Omar Velasco, the ATC, A6 was another one of those. And Justin Mokrovich, who's at AirCom, was another one. And I had this fantastic chief, Chief Michelle Starlick, that did a lot of offensive type stuff. We brought her in to help the defensive side. Incredible chief, fantastic chief that really helped us out there. Went back to the joint staff, and the reason I did that is because I had been separated from the family for doing group command. I had geo-bachelor out there, so I wanted to get back to the family. And based on that decision, at that point, after having discussions with the 24th Air Force, ECOM, I basically pulled myself as far as trying to run for the GEO kind of follow the star, right? To me, I've always been about priorities, and it's based on the mentors I've had. My priorities personally in life are my personal religious belief, my family, and the love for my country and what I do in the Air Force, in that order, right? And for me, the family was the most important. So I came back to DC, joined staff again, and at that point, I made a decision, I'm gonna retire. And I was a couple months away from retirement, and I get a call all of a sudden, right? And so my recollection of the kind of coming to USAFE was a little different from what the journal described, right? Because I was fully focused on retirement at the time. I was kind of, that was it, right? Couple months from terminal leave. I hadn't even started looking for jobs. People were kind of talking to me about stuff. So I was kind of, okay, I'm thinking of the whole next thing. And people tell you, you know when it's time for you to retire. And I felt that, right? But I got a call from the senior officer matters guy that was in the seat at that time, Ray Champion, who said, hey, Oz, what do you think about doing safety A6 next? And I was like, hey, Ray, what are you talking about? I got my retirement paperwork in. Right? What are you doing? Yeah, but we think we can work with the colonel's group, we can pull it, we can get it, retracted and come out here. And so I've been in trouble with not discussing things with Pamela in the past on there. So I was like, all right, Ray, I'm gonna talk to Pamela and see what she says, which I was hoping she said, yeah, I'm comfortable, we have life great here, I don't wanna stay. So I go talk to Pamela and she's like, when are we packing, right? And I was like, crap. I was like, well, let me shoot General Maluda and Dave Babiak a note, and let me see what they say. So I shoot him a note. General Maluda's the first one to respond, and then it was pretty much right away, I think, on there. And basically calls me a dumbass if I don't take the job. And so I was like, crap again, right? So I called Champ, I said, I'll take the job on there. And the rest of the time I had there to when I got here, it was kind of reinvigorating myself, right? Because when you're focused and going down that path, you're kind of set. And now you gotta, I've always been, you bring 100% of your game if you're gonna do something. And so that mindset had to change internally for me to kind of get ready for this job. I said earlier, Batman, you made the transition so easy on here. With the exception of a couple people on staff, I won't mention any names. He knows who I'm talking about. The staff was phenomenally set up. He had all the resources set up. We were operationally ready to take care of whatever, which was a great thing because right after I got here, we got into the whole Afghan conflict. All this flight line you see back here, there was tents all over the place back there. Tens of thousands of Afghans. We had James Austin acting like Rambo in a golf cart out here, trying to get comms set up out here. It was an incredible time, busy time, all kinds of things being done while we were out there. Really good. And obviously we've done a lot of stuff with Ukraine and then Africa. They have hotspots all the time. It's been an extremely busy place, but it's been an extremely awesome place. You get to see the results of your work out here. You got some, for folks that are just visiting, you got some awesome directors and deputy directors out here. I've never seen a MASCOM or any staff at all really, whether it's the 5-8, whether it's the 6, whether it's the 4, we're all talking, we're all sharing, we're all communicating, we're all working together to get the job done. So it's been an incredible ride in 3 years that I've had here. Thank you all for attending, right? It really means so much to me. It means so much to the family. I thought that, Pamela and I could maybe just slip out and kind of just avoid all this, right? Because it's a lot of work and effort. These last, I'll say last month has been extremely busy. Trying to out-process. I'm flying out Saturday. I got a VA appointment tomorrow. I mean, it's like, cramming as much as I can in. People have asked me, do you feel it? I don't feel it just yet on here, just because it's been so busy. I think when I get to Virginia and I'm in the hotel there with like nothing to do for a little bit, I'll probably be crying like a little girl, right? Just for the fact that I'll realize that I'm no longer a uniform wearing member of this club, right? I think I always in my heart believe I'll be a member of this club, but it'll be a different environment, and I miss that. I miss the mentoring and everything I've done on here. One last thing that I'll ask you guys to do, and I'll finish off, right? Can I just have you raise your hand real quick? Okay, you can put your hand down. So I'm looking at the hand, right, and in my mind, I was thinking something, right? So one of the things I always did my 3 years here, I visited every single base that we had out here, just kind of talk to the wing commanders, group commanders, and all the members to make sure I understood what their issues are and work with them and make sure that they had the support they needed. I would also have a director's call with the units out there and their comm squadrons. And sure enough, you heard earlier, I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan, right? And so normally when I'd start those, right, I would say, how many Dallas Cowboy fans are there? And I'd ask for a raise of hands, and I might get 1 or 2, or I might even get the finger. But now, in my mind, I asked that question, and you guys all said you were. So thank you for coming today. I appreciate it so much. And I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you.
Please be seated. Thank you, Colonel Delgado. The women and men of the United States Air Force are proud to have served with Colonel Delgado. He will always be a valuable member of the Air Force family, even in retirement. We wish him, Pamela, and his family every success in their future endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the singing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party and family members. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Colonel Delgado and his family sincerely thank you for joining them for this special occasion. We invite everyone to join General Maluda in congratulating them during the reception. Thank you for attending, and we wish you all a pleasant day.
No, neither did I. Yeah. Thank you.